Welcome, everyone, to this month's OpenAir Power Up series delivered by TopStep. I'm Ron Bro, CEO, and I'd like to thank you for joining our webinar today. Our topic today is handling timesheet corrections like a pro. Every PS organization from time to time requires the need to correct timesheets. If you're using OpenAir, you have several options, several ways to accomplish this. Each option can depend on where you are in your billing cycle or other aspects we will talk about today. So the first option we're going to take a look at is allowing the end user to unapprove or reject their own timesheet. So I've about to submit a timesheet as Catherine, and then I realized after I click submit, oh shoot, I forgot something. So I don't want to have to go find Bill and ask Bill. You can see that there have been no approvals to this point. So if I click on report, I can reject my own timesheet. And this will allow me to open my own timesheet up and then be able to make changes. The trick here is it moves it into a rejected state. I can then come in here and make the changes I need. And I can add a different project. And then I can resubmit this when I'm ready to go. So a nice way for the end user to be able to submit, then recall, and then fix, and then resubmit their timesheet without needing assistance from any other power users or administrators. The next option is really just around approvals. Generally, when we're implementing OpenAir, talking with customers, we recommend an approval process, either going through project managers or managers, to be able to review the timesheet prior to it becoming approved. And there's a couple of different approval options in OpenAir. The one we see most commonly is where the end user is approving or rejecting the entire timesheets. And so in this case, you can see I've got an approval or rejection for the entire timesheet. If I reject the entire timesheet, I am required to give a reason that would then go back to the end user, force them to fix the timesheet and resubmit it. It comes back to me. I will then review it and then approve it to move it on to any future approval processes. The good side of this is it keeps the timesheet intact, one timesheet per period, and it's pretty straightforward for end users. The other option in OpenAir is line level approvals or rejections. And so in this account, you can see we have it set up so that I can approve or reject at a line level. And so what this would allow me to do is come in and say, I'm rejecting this line for some reason, but then allowing the rest of the timesheet to move forward in the approval process. And we recommend this when getting the time through the approval process so it can be billed is a priority over anything else. Because what this will allow you to do is reject, maybe there's a problem with an internal project or a non-billable line you want corrected, but the rest of the hours are billable and you want to move those along. So this would allow you to be able to generate your billings and be able to correct the timesheet. Now it does split the timesheet, so it will split it in two and move, and the end user will have a rejected timesheet with one line, and then the other part of the timesheet will move forward. So it can be a little confusing looking at a list of timesheets in the system. There are some settings that allow you to rejoin once the entire timesheet is approved. And so that's something to think about as well. But this is a good option for, especially if you're doing a lot of time and material billing, and does allow you to allow the end user to fix their own timesheet. Now, one thing about rejections on a timesheet, whether you're doing it as the line level or at the entire timesheet level, there are another couple of options. One is you're forcing it to, you're always rejecting it to make the end user fix it. There's also a setting in OpenAir that allows the approver to actually fix the timesheet and then save it and then approve it. So what you're doing there is you're saying, I know that this end user incorrectly entered something. I'm going to, instead of sending it back to them and waiting for them to go ahead and fix it and then resubmitting it, I'm just going to go ahead and make the change and then push it forward. So for a quick and speed of getting it fixed, it's a good idea. A lot of customers want the end user's hands to fix it and not the approvers. So again, it depends on your scenario and who's approving it, if finance is involved. So something to think about around process and governing, what you're doing. It is a role permission, so allowing approver to edit a submitted timesheet is a role permission that you would need to provide your user. The third option is the timesheet has been submitted and it's been approved, but we haven't done anything with the time. What I mean by that is we haven't run it through a billing rule, or we haven't exported it to a third-party system for some use case or payroll. And we realize, we're running reports and we realize it's been incorrectly entered. At that point, the quickest and simplest way is just to come in and unapprove the timesheet. So I can see here, I can unapprove this timesheet by clicking here. It gives me this unapproved. I can send a reason and then submit this, and it'll be unapproved. Then the end user can fix the timesheet and resubmit it back through the approval process. And only the changes need to be approved. If anybody approved it and it didn't change, that would auto approve. And in order to have this permission to unapprove a timesheet, you would think it would be at a role level, but it is not at a role level. It's actually on a user by user basis. So if we come into our user setup under our timesheet options, you can see here this permission is available to be added to any user that you would like to be able to unapprove. So these approve and unapprove are for expenses, and timesheets and invoices are all set and executed at the user level, not at a role level. And then the last timesheet correction process we'll review today is when the timesheet has been locked for whatever reason. Mostly we see it because the time has been billed. And once the time has been run through a billing rule, as you would expect, even if it's one entry, the entire timesheet can no longer be unapproved. It cannot be rejected. You cannot edit it at all. So what you do then is you would create an adjusted timesheet. And so in order to execute on that, again, you do have to have the permission as a role. So, but if I come in, find the timesheet I need to adjust, click on the edit, and you'll see it's been approved. You'll see I can't edit it. There's no save. And you can see that it is grayed out, green grayed out, so that you can see the hours, but they can't be altered. If I click on my light bulb, adjust this timesheet, now I basically have created a clone of the timesheet, and I can come in now and start to correct. So let's say maybe I wanted to split my time on Wednesday to move hours. So let's add our notes. And then maybe we didn't put time on Thursday, so we want to go ahead and add time Thursday to this timesheet. And so now I'll save this. And so it's basically now creating a second timesheet for that week. And so you can see it's going to show you, if you hit save, what it's going to do. It's going to reverse out the 8 hours, and it's going to split 4 and 4, and then it's going to add another 8 hours to the Thursday day. I can add notes here, which we do recommend, is to any notes as to why you're adjusting. And then when I hit save, there's a couple of different settings. The one we see most common is the adjusted timesheet goes straight to approved. And this allows finance or operations to be able to go in, do these timesheet adjustments, but not have to worry about any future approvals. If I do take a look at the timesheets, I can see here is my original timesheet for Mary, and then I can see she has a second timesheet. Now this one is a +8 because remember we net added 8 hours to the timesheet. So the original, we just split the 8 into 4 and 4, and that netted to a 0. But then we added 8 on Thursday, which has netted us to a grand total of 8 hours for this adjusted timesheet. So now if I had to rerun billing, it would actually reverse any incorrect billings that I corrected, and then allow me to bill the corrected amounts through the billing rule. So takes care of the billing side, be able to credit out any incorrections, and then allows you to update the timesheet. So adjusted timesheets will be your best friend around billing time, corrections after the fact, and being able to be a pro with timesheet corrections. Again, thank you for joining the webinar today. If you need more information, feel free to hit topstepllc.com or follow us on LinkedIn.